And welcome back. The J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum is right here in the heart of Claremore. And here to tell us more about the museum and the man behind it all is Wayne McCombs. Wayne's an old bud. Wayne, good to have you, buddy.
Hi, Sam. Good to see you again.
J.M. Davis, tell us about him.
Well, he was an entrepreneur. He was from Texarkana area, and he and his wife started coming to, they wanted to come to Tulsa in about 1915 to get into the oil and gas business. Well, they rode the train from Arkansas, made it as far as Claremore, got off the train, and across the street was the Mason Hotel. The Mason Hotel was for sale. His wife had a background in hotel and restaurant management, so they made a deal. J.M. Davis traded 2,000 acres of timberland in Arkansas. His family's business was making railroad ties. So he traded 2,000 acres of timberland in Arkansas for the, at that time, 5-year-old Mason Hotel right on the corner of Main Street, which is now Will Rogers Boulevard and Highway 66. So picture this. He had a large hotel right there on the corner. The bus station was next door. The Highway 66 was right in front of his hotel, and the passenger train station was across the street. So location, location, location.
Sure.
He had it. Plus, his wife knew what she was doing with hiring the maids, hiring the, getting the food. The restaurant there he had in the hotel was very popular with everybody in town, so it was constantly full and people coming and going with the passenger train station. And he was a really friendly guy. 6 years after he came to Claremore, he was elected the mayor of Claremore. He served a total of 12 years, and one of the big factors in his, maybe the biggest thing he did as the mayor of Claremore, he helped develop Claremore Lake, where the city gets their water. At that time, they just got it out of the Verdigris River. And so he saw a need for better water, cleaner water. You're going to have a better town.
Sure.
So that was one of his legacies, was Claremore Lake. He worked with a man named Bert Sprangle. That was the city park director. And if you drive out to Claremore Lake today, after you first turn in the turn, there's a sign that says Bert Sprangle Park, and that's who Bert Sprangle was. So J.M. Davis was just a great, Claremore citizen, very friendly. People loved him. In fact, after he served as the mayor, he served then 8 years on the city council.
And he also had a great gun collection.
He had a fabulous gun collection.
Yeah.
Now, this year is the 90th anniversary of the Will Rogers Hotel, still in operation here in Claremore as apartments. Well, because of that hotel being built in 1929, it was opened in 1930, Mr. Davis started displaying his collection. He had owned the hotel for many years, and he saw that there was big competition coming in across the street from his hotel. So he started to work. He refurbished the rooms, refurbished the lobby. He added bathrooms in every room at that time, and then he went wild on electronics. He added a radio to every room in his hotel.
Wouldn't you like to have just one of them?
We do at the museum.
Well,
on display.
I mean,
oh yeah, personally, yes, I would.
I'd give anything to have one of those.
Yeah.
My word.
It was terrific. So, and then he also decided, I'm going to display my collection of 99 guns on the wall here in the hotel as a tourist attraction, or hey, did you see this? I went by this hotel, saw this. When he put those guns up, people started coming in and wanting to swap with him, wanting to trade with him. Would you want to buy this old gun? And his collection exploded in the 1930s, and that's where he started collecting and collecting and collecting. And at one time, he had over 20,000 weapons in his collection.
No kidding.
Yeah. The collection today is 12,000. Through the years, he had sold some and other things like that, but right now, we have 12,000 in the museum.
There are folks out there who say, well, guns, I don't want to see that. That's terrible. But it reflects a part of our history, a part of the development of this country.
That's right. The guns are not displayed in a manner of hurting someone. Even the sections where we have military weapons and things like, they're not depicted as killing this evil person and all this kind of stuff. It just shows it's a tool that sometimes you have to use in military purposes, and it's just a part of history, showing them how they developed and what they were used for.
Do folks still walk through the door saying, I don't know what this is, but it was in Uncle Joe's closet when he'd passed.
Oh yeah, we get that almost weekly. Can you help us with that?
Yeah.
And yes, we can. Our curator, Jason Schubert, is a gun expert. And if he most of the time he knows right off the bat what they are. But we do have an expansive collection of library information that we go to. He can usually tell you the manufacturer, pretty close to the year it was manufactured, and this type of thing. Now, because we are a state museum, we cannot give a value because then, oh, the state of Oklahoma said this gun is worth this much money, so
Sure.
so we direct them to people that are can give a value, but we can give you generally what the weapon is, the year it was manufactured, and if there's been any alterations on it. So when you do go to somebody that is going to give you a value on your weapon, you'll have some kind of background to deal with the person.
I have a friend who is a full-blood Cherokee, lives up in the Locust Grove area. About 10 or 12 years ago, he and some friends were going to take a tree down on his property. And it had a nasty fork in it. You know the kind, you've seen
Yes,
it before.
yeah.
But when they took the tree down, the fork split, and inside was an old Navy cap and ball pistol.
Wow.
The tree had grown together over it.
Yeah.
And he cut that section and left it, open so you could see where the thing had been resting for years, and has it in his home still. Now, I'm of the opinion that if we had battles and skirmishes all over the state during the Civil War, and folks, I know for a fact, Cabin Creek, of course, where we had the big last
yes.
raid there, they're always finding pieces of shrapnel or cannonballs or parts of uniforms and all in that area. So I'm convinced that Oklahoma is one of those states where if a man's got a metal detector and a little time on his hands, he can go in and find things that just would amaze you.
Oh, I think so too. But we still get people that come in and I found this. Where did this come from? My grandpa had it, or this type of thing. But it's a fascinating. Every once in a while, we'll get something that gets our curator all excited about this rare weapon.
Yeah, come see this.
It's really Wayne, get in here. Look at this. You won't believe it.
You have other items in the museum other than guns.
Yes.
For example, now this hinges on the really side of life, but you have hangman's ropes, hoods.
Yes.
But you also have the history of why they're there.
Right.
Because who was involved and why that rope was used on that person.
That's right. We do have hangman's nooses. We have shackles. We have handcuffs, the ball and chain you see in the cartoons and things like this today. We have that there just as, with sometimes you use weapons incorrectly and it results in jail time and
Sure.
other things for people till they learn not to act that way. But we do have that on display also. We believe it's tastefully done. It doesn't mock anybody or it doesn't make fun of anybody, but it just shows what sometimes people have to be restrained in a certain different ways,
Have you
because
got
of that.
any kind of an exhibit there that just deals with mystery pieces you haven't been able to identify yet?
We do not, but we do have a unique collection of artifacts and weapons that through the years the Rogers County and Tulsa County and Claremore Police have given us, that they've taken off some of their clients and brought into us that has been used as weapons. There's been some of the most unusual ones are homemade, of course, shanks and things like that, and they've even had shampoo bottles that somehow they have wrapped with tape or something to use as a weapon in
No
some
kidding.
sort of illegal activities. But we do that now. As far as a weapon, we don't have a weapon that we don't know where did this come from or what is this. Generally, we know the manufacturer and the approximate year when it was made.
It's always intrigued me, and oh gosh, I wish we had more time on this, but it's always intrigued me to know that when they drove the Indian people here under the Johnson administration, they were allowed to keep shotguns, some of the tribal members, and they used them to hunt with. And all they had when they ran out of shot was gravel. Now, some of these old guns are Damascus barrels, and if you
Right.
fired them today, they'd come across like a springy toy, you know, just bouncing around. But they used to put, you know, gunpowder in, a little padding, then some gravel, and then a little more padding to hold it in, tamp it all down, and fire it, and they had a rabbit for dinner. I mean, that was a way of life.
Right. Well, where the term, birdshot came from is because they would shoot these weapons and hit birds for
Yeah,
supper and
and
their
the
dinner.
barrels now are almost paper thin. Wayne,
Right,
we're out of time
right.
again.
Well,
doggone it.
just have people come by and see us. We're downtown Claremore, 5th Street and Highway 66, the J.M. Davis Arms and Historical Museum. We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 5.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Thank you. Good to see you, Sam.
We'll do some more down the road.
Okay.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Perspectives. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.